Reddit, I need your judgment. For 8 months, I believed I was going to be a father. I painted the nursery, read bedtime stories to her belly, and told everyone I was ready for fatherhood. But one late-night phone buzz shattered that illusion, and what I uncovered after still keeps me awake at night. It was around 11:30 p.m. when her phone lit up. Again. We were lying in bed, and she was already asleep, her body half curled around the pregnancy pillow. At first, I ignored it, but then it buzzed a second time, a third, then a fourth. That's when my stomach flipped. I knew her passcode, her birthday, and opened it. The messages weren't from anyone in her contacts, just a number. The first said, "Can't stop thinking about your body today." The next, "When can I see you again?" I sat there, blinking, trying to rationalize it. Maybe it was an old thread. Maybe it was spam. But then I scrolled up, weeks of messages. She had sent selfies, not naked, but flirty. Poses I hadn't seen her do for me in months. My hand went cold. I looked at her face, relaxed in sleep, her breathing slow and even. How could someone look so peaceful while living two lives? Then came the worst part. She stirred slightly, as if sensing something, and unconsciously reached for me in her sleep, her hand resting softly against my arm. My heart clenched. There was something so genuine in that touch, so reflexively intimate, that it made me question what I had just read. For half a second, I wanted to believe I had dreamed it all. But the messages were still on the screen. I set the phone down gently on the nightstand and lay there, wide awake, heart pounding against my ribs like a war drum. My mind raced. I didn't sleep that night, and I knew that whatever came next, life would never go back to normal. The next morning, I went through the motions like nothing had happened. I made her decaf coffee the way she liked it, added a splash of almond milk, and even offered to make her toast with strawberry jam. She smiled, rubbing her belly and thanking me, like I was the greatest husband on earth. Meanwhile, my insides were twisting into knots. I had barely slept. My mind had replayed the messages over and over, like a horror movie on loop. I tried to act normal. I didn't confront her, not yet. I watched her carefully, looking for tells. Anything. But she was good. Too good. That scared me more than the texts. She chatted about baby names, showed me a Pinterest board of nursery themes. She laughed when the baby kicked while brushing her teeth. It was all so ordinary. So heartbreakingly perfect, and entirely fake. I went into the garage and sat in the car with the door shut. I turned the key halfway, just enough to get the radio going, but not the engine. I stared at the steering wheel, gripping it until my knuckles turned white. I wanted to scream. To break something, but all I did was sit there. Finally, I called my older sister Sarah. She always had a no-nonsense attitude. I told her everything, my voice cracking halfway through. She didn't interrupt. When I finished, there was a long pause. "You sure you want the truth?" she asked. "I need it," I whispered. "Then get more than just words," she said. "You need proof, hard evidence. Otherwise, she'll flip it on you, make it your fault." And with that, the seed was planted. If I was going to expose this, I had to be smart and undeniable. Emily always said she hated social media, said it was fake, shallow, curated for likes. She deleted her old Instagram account during our engagement and said she wanted to be more present. I respected that, admired it even. But after the messages I saw, I started questioning everything. I opened a burner account using an old Gmail address. I searched for variations of her name, pet names, even our baby nickname, Bean. I didn't find anything for a while. Then one handle caught my eye, Bloom, and Belly. It had no photo of her face, but the username sounded familiar. She'd said it once while talking about pregnancy blogs. My pulse kicked up. The profile was private, but the bio said, "Growing my little light 30W blessed." It was her. The captions were full of soft quotes and emojis, but one post stood out. A mirror selfie in a boutique hotel bathroom. The caption read, "Work trips and baby kicks? Balance." My skin crawled. I zoomed in on the mirror. In the reflection, just barely visible, was a man's torso, shirtless, holding a toothbrush. Someone was staying with her. I clicked the location tag, a hotel 20 minutes away, not even out of town. I checked our shared calendar. That night, she told me she was at a prenatal yoga workshop with her coworker Lindsay. Suddenly, that workshop seemed a lot more flexible. I scrolled through more posts. One had a coffee cup next to a man's hand, not mine. Another showed 2 plates at brunch, only one of them half-eaten. There were no tags linking to his profile, but the pattern was there. This wasn't just a secret account. It was a diary of a double life, and I'd barely scratched the surface. That night, I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at my hands for almost 20 minutes before I worked up the nerve to say anything. She was brushing her hair, humming softly, a tune I used to find comforting. Now it made my stomach twist. "Who's Nathan?" I asked casually, like I was asking about a grocery item. She paused, brush midair. "Nathan, from work?" I nodded. "Yeah, from the accounting team, right?" She blinked fast, something flickering in her expression. "Why?" "I saw a post," I said. "From your Instagram. The hidden one. Bloom and belly. The hotel picture." The silence that followed was sharp. Then she laughed, an airy, high-pitched sound. "Oh my God, you're spying on me now?" "No," I replied, keeping my voice level. "I just stumbled on it." She scoffed. "You're being ridiculous. It was just a picture. I asked him to take it. That's all. You're seriously reading into shadows now?" I pulled out my phone and zoomed into the mirror reflection. "Then why is he shirtless?" Her eyes narrowed. "That could be anyone. You told me you were at yoga that night." "You're losing your mind," she said flatly. "This stress isn't good for the baby." Gaslighting, that's what it was. She flipped the script so smoothly, so confidently, that I almost doubted myself. Almost. But not quite. That night, she climbed into bed beside me and kissed my shoulder like nothing had happened. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, knowing I couldn't let this slide. I needed more than a blurry photo and a bad feeling. I needed proof she couldn't talk her way out of. So I started planning, quietly, carefully, while pretending nothing had changed. Evan and I aren't the closest siblings. He's the tech guy in the family, always buried in screens, building gadgets, fixing phones. Growing up, we weren't tight, but he's loyal. And right now, I needed someone loyal. I drove to his apartment the next day, under the pretense of grabbing coffee. I didn't sugarcoat it. I told him I thought Emily was cheating and that I needed help. He listened quietly, nodded slowly, then said, "You want me to track her phone?" I hesitated. "Is that even legal?" He shrugged. "You share a car, right?" "Yeah." "Then I'll track the car." That night, he installed a discreet GPS tracker on the SUV and synced it to an app on my phone. No wires, no blinking lights. "You'll get pings every 10 minutes, he said. "Don't blow it too early." I didn't. For the next 3 days, I watched her patterns. Everything checked out. Grocery runs, prenatal appointments, quick Target trips. I almost felt crazy for doubting her. Then came Thursday. She told me she had a prenatal massage appointment at 6 p.m. I nodded, kissed her cheek, and wished her a relaxing session. 15 minutes later, the GPS pinged, but not at the spa. She was headed in the opposite direction. At 6:22 p.m., she parked outside a residential complex, a townhouse unit I didn't recognize. She stayed there for 2 hours. When she came back home, she smelled faintly of lavender and red wine. Not massage oil, wine. I asked how it was. She smiled and said, "Heaven?" I barely slept that night. My phone kept buzzing with phantom GPS alerts that weren't there. Or maybe it was just my conscience trying to keep me awake. The next step was clear. I had to confirm the worst. For real. After the townhouse visit, I knew, but suspicion wasn't enough. I needed something definitive, something she couldn't gaslight away. That's when I remembered a late-night forum post I'd read once about prenatal DNA testing. It stuck with me like a splinter. Could I really do it? I did some research. Turns out, you can get a prenatal paternity test with a maternal sample and the father's. No need to wait for the baby to be born. It wasn't cheap, over 1,200, but at that point, price didn't matter. My peace of mind did. I ordered the test kit to Evan's place. For her DNA, I swabbed a used straw from her morning smoothie, double-sealed it in a sterile bag. For mine, I followed the instructions exactly, labeled everything, no room for error. I mailed the samples and waited. Longest 10 days of my life. During those 10 days, I went through every stage of grief: anger, bargaining, numbness. I'd hold her hand during doctor appointments and wonder if I was betraying myself. I'd feel the baby kick through her belly and my chest would ache with a confusing mix of awe and resentment. Then the email came. Subject line: paternity results. Confidential. I opened it while sitting in the garage again. Hands shaking. Palms sweating. I skimmed straight to the result. Probability of paternity: 0. Sis, I read it 3 times. The words blurred. I sat there, lightheaded, until I realized tears were rolling down my cheeks. Not from sadness, from absolute soul-crushing disbelief. All this time I was preparing to be a father, and I wasn't even in the running. Everything changed in that moment. My future, my identity, my family, erased with a single percentage point. I waited until she got home from her baby class. She was glowing, holding a little handmade clay print of a baby foot she'd pressed earlier that day. "Look," she said, smiling. "He kicked the whole time." I didn't even respond. I slid the test result across the kitchen island. She looked at the paper like it was written in a language she didn't understand. "What's this?" she asked. "You know what it is." Her eyes moved left to right, lips parting. This isn't real. Where did you get this?" "I had a test done," I said. "It's legit. There's no question. He's not mine." The paper trembled in her hand. "You went behind my back?" I laughed bitterly. "Are you serious right now?" Then came the tears, sudden, loud. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," she sobbed. "Nathan was supposed to step up. I told him about the baby and he ghosted me. I panicked. I couldn't do it alone." I stood frozen. She was unraveling, spiraling, but all I felt was cold. "I thought you'd be a better father," she said, tears streaking down her cheeks. "You're safe. You're kind. You were always there." "But you weren't," I said. "You made me build a future on a lie." She tried to take my hand. I pulled away. "We can still raise him together," she pleaded. "You're the only father he'll know. You already love him. That's real, isn't it?" I shook my head slowly. "You made me love a child that wasn't mine while you lied to my face." That was the last full conversation we ever had, and the first time I saw her for who she really was. Not scared, not lost, just selfish. They don't warn you about the silence. Not just in the house, but inside your own head. The day after she left, it was like someone pressed pause on my entire life. The crib sat unfinished in the corner of the nursery, half painted in soft sage green. The little onesies we bought together, dinosaurs, astronauts, ducks, still had their tags on. I couldn't bring myself to touch any of it. I didn't cry, I didn't yell, I didn't throw anything. I just walked from room to room like a ghost. My body moved, but I wasn't really there. My mom called. I told her we broke up. She was shocked, confused. I didn't tell her why, I couldn't. The words wouldn't come out. "What do you even say?" "Hey, Mom, turns out I spent the last 8 months preparing to be a dad to someone else's baby." My friends noticed I stopped showing up. I ignored group texts, let calls go to voicemail. I couldn't stand the pity, or worse, the advice. "You'll find someone new," they'd say. As if that fixed betrayal. Even at work, I couldn't concentrate. I stared at my computer screen for hours, pretending to work. My boss asked if everything was okay. I said it was just the pregnancy stress. The irony made me nauseous. The worst part? I still felt phantom kicks. Like my body had been conditioned to feel excited every time Emily touched her belly. I'd reach out instinctively, only to remember there was nothing there. That baby was never mine. But the grief? That very much was. It arrived in a plain white envelope, no return address, postmarked from 2 towns over. I almost tossed it with the rest of the mail, bills, coupons, junk, but something made me stop. My name was written in handwriting I knew too well. Inside was a single photograph and a note. The photo was of a baby, maybe 2 or 3 months old. Big eyes, full cheeks, a bit of fuzz on the head. He looked happy. Wrapped in a yellow blanket I remembered from our baby shower. The note was short. He still kicks when he hears your favorite song. That was it. I sat down on the kitchen floor and stared at the picture. My mind swirled with emotions I didn't know how to name. Anger, sadness, regret, guilt. The tiniest flicker of love. Or maybe just muscle memory. Was it cruel? A guilt trip? Or was she reaching out in some desperate attempt to pull me back in? I turned the photo over. Nothing on the back. I wanted to rip it, burn it. Instead, I placed it face down on the counter and walked away. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying that line. He still kicks. It hurt because it used to mean something. Music was our thing. I played playlists for the baby in the womb. Now that detail was being weaponized against me. Evan told me to throw it out. She's messing with your head, he said. You owe her nothing. He was right, but part of me couldn't help wondering, was that baby ever going to wonder who I was? And would I have the strength to tell him I walked away? It's been 6 months since everything fell apart. The nursery is gone. We repainted it a neutral gray, turned it into a reading room. The crib was donated. The ultrasound photos, shredded. I wiped the baby playlist from my phone, but I still hear the songs in my head sometimes. I can't help it. People assume time fixes betrayal. It doesn't. It just stretches the silence between the echoes. Some nights, I still lie awake, wondering what kind of father I would have been. I imagine what it would have felt like to hold him for the first time. I think about what he'll grow up believing, and whether someone will tell him the truth. That once upon a time, there was a man who painted his nursery and whispered dreams to his mother's belly. A man who planned to love him unconditionally, until the truth shattered everything. I've started therapy. It's been slow, messy, but necessary. My therapist tells me I confuse love with duty, that I was more in love with the idea of fatherhood than with the person I was trying to build it with. I think she's right. I see Emily sometimes, not in person, but in memories. A flash of a laugh, a scent, a crooked smile. It hurts less now, but it still hurts. I don't know if I'll ever fully trust someone again. But I'm not bitter. Just cautious. If you're reading this and you've been through something like it, I see you. You're not weak for falling. You're strong for standing back up. She lied. She broke me. But I didn't stay broken. And that, more than anything, is how I know I'm healing.